On today's episode, we're going to be talking about experiences and stuff, experiences and things. And we're going to give 7 good reasons why we need to choose experiences over our stuff. You need healthcare, but you need something that doesn't break the bank. Something different from insurance. Something more. Our friends at Medi-Share have designed healthcare with you in mind. See, Medi-Share is healthcare, but it's just done better because you deserve affordable, quality healthcare that aligns with your Christian values. So go visit our friends at Medi-Share.com. Okay, we've got a finite amount of time and money in our lives, right? And we're all forced to make choices, how we spend our resources. Are we going to choose material goods or are we going to choose experiences and events? That's always the conflict in our lives. Well, check this out. According to Forbes, 74% of Americans value experiences over things. Why? See, doctors and scientists have been researching this value of experiences. And the findings might surprise you and hopefully they'll encourage you. And so here's 7 reasons that experiences should take a precedent over things, over our stuff, especially in light of prioritizing our health. So here's the first one. Straight out, very simply, you're just going to be happier in the long run, right? We all know money can't buy happiness. We've heard this our whole lives, and many people have tried, let me tell you. But when choosing how we want to spend our money, well, shouldn't we choose something that's going to last and make us a little happier? Based on some research from Cornell University, The Atlantic published a report that basically said experiential purchases make consumers much happier than material purchases. Experiences make people happier than possessions. It's kind of counterintuitive to our normal American logic, isn't it? Because if you pay for an experience like a vacation, well, that vacation is going to be over and gone. But if you buy something tangible, like let's say a couch, well, isn't that going to last for a long time? Wouldn't that be a better choice of spending my money? But when it comes to experiences, I think it's the fleetingness of that purchase that endears them to us, right? Either they're not around long enough for them to become imperfect, or they actually are imperfect, and our memories have a tendency to make them sweeter over time, right? Even a bad experience sometimes becomes a good story, right? So certainly we've all been there. The new dining room table, well, it just sits there after a little while. You're glad you have it. But in contrast, even a rained out camping trip becomes more epic over time, doesn't it? Right? So instead of that new rug, maybe you could choose tickets to a rugby match. Or instead of shopping, you could go backpacking. Rather than a new watch, you could maybe choose to go to the ballet. Because even if this experience itself doesn't turn out rosy at the time, chances are you're going to recall it very fondly. Here's the next thing. We can learn new skills. Scientists have long studied the positive effects of learning new skills. Research shows that the brain physically changes. So becoming healthier and more responsive with increased exposure to challenges and learning environments is just really a healthy thing for us. In fact, additional research says that learning several new skills at the same time has a compounding positive effect. In other words, taking different types of lessons at the same time has a potential to increase effectiveness in all areas of our lives. Like, for instance, taking a ceramics class while also learning karate could actually make you better at both. So instead of buying that new laptop, why don't you sign up for surf lessons or maybe a painting class? Or both, right? Rather than buying your kids another toy, considering signing them up for an innovation camp or tennis club. Look, it seems like our brains are going to thank us for doing these kinds of things. The next thing we can do is we can minimize clutter. This one's tough, right? Research shows that clutter can actually have a negative impact on our mental and our physical health, actually. As stuff accumulates in our homes and we just keep garnering more and more things, it can lead to distractions. It can lead to memory issues, heightened stress levels. Clutter can build up on us real easy, mainly because of procrastination, right? We get this sense of being completely overwhelmed when we get the idea of minimizing things. What do I get rid of? But I like that. Or, this is something that I might use someday. I hear that one a lot. What if I want to use it someday? We get overwhelmed by all this, and this can actually impose poor mental health. See, it often expresses itself by means of hoarding. According to medical professionals, hoarding is linked to obesity and insomnia. So let's just avoid all the negativity, right? Instead of more action figures for your kid to pile up in his room, maybe gift your child with a superhero gymnastic camp experience, right? Instead of buying more shoes to clutter up your closet, man, go for a walk, join a walking club. Guard yourself from the chaos that too much stuff brings. Here's the next thing we can look at. We can prioritize our relationships. While technology certainly has its value, there's an inherent danger in our societies from these delivery apps and the convenience of them, along with all the social media. It really begots loneliness. A recent study on loneliness says this: in the last decade, technology has changed how we interact with each other and with the world, raising questions about its impact on both our social connectedness and our overall well-being. The study also links loneliness to these very difficult situations: depression, dementia, hypertension, heart disease, and diabetes. Okay, here's the bottom line. Isolation and loneliness are detrimental to our health. And conversely, positive relationships are good for our health and well-being. So, I'd say it's important for us to use our resources and our time and our money in a way that prioritizes relationships. Instead of buying the latest cell phone, then perhaps we need to invest in a getaway weekend with family or friends. Instead of a new TV, maybe we get a zoo membership for the family. Rather than a new set of golf clubs, maybe book some time at the driving range with your spouse. Time spent with the people we love is time well spent. Here's the next thing we can talk about. We can talk about how we can increase anticipation and decrease anxiety, right? It's no secret that we get pleasure just looking forward to a really cool or fun event. A psychological study actually indicates that anticipating a new experience brings excitement, while looking forward to a new thing has a tendency to bring only impatience. This researcher includes that consumers drive value from anticipation, and that value tends to be greater for experiential rather than for material purchases. So think about it. Waiting weeks for an upcoming concert that you've been dying to see, and you get giddy about it the closer it comes, doesn't it? But waiting around for that tablet that you just purchased for 3 weeks, it kind of gets your goat, doesn't it? Just gets you a little grumpy. In some instances, more stuff actually increases anxiety. For example, having a newer, more expensive car. You tend to get kind of caught up on all these things that go around it, right? Like, what about insurance costs? What about door dings in every parking lot? It builds a sense of anxiety for us. And in an effort to trade anxiety for anticipation, maybe we swap that fancy car purchase for a family cruise instead. Rather than that designer purse that you could buy, perhaps get a theme park pass with a friend of yours. Here's another thing we can look at. We need to model good values. Luke chapter 12, Jesus warns us against the accumulation of possessions. It says in verse 15, "Take care and be on your guard against all covetousness, for one's life does not consist in the abundance of possessions." Jesus goes on in the same gospel to tell the parable about the rich man who accumulated so much stuff he had to build a bigger barn just to contain it all. But yet all that stuff could not save him. As a matter of fact, his life came to an end just like everyone else's. And in the end, his greed displeased God. The world tells us that stuff matters. Materialism, comparison, consumerism, they all just seem normal as breathing air. But as believers, we can model something different. It's called contentment and generosity. Instead of a new boat, maybe God's calling your family on a huge mission trip. Instead of buying a new wardrobe for yourself, maybe you go out and buy baby clothes for your local pregnancy crisis center. Jesus was clear in Luke 12. Giving is the best experience of all. And here's the last thing we can talk about. You create something that lasts. We can do this. If you've seen the Pixar movie Inside Out, well, you might be familiar with the term core memory. Well, as it turns out, core memories are really a thing. Rewarding experiences are preserved in our brains. Researchers at Columbia University have proven that our brains weed out inconsequential events and they save good memories. So we can't remember everything. This is true. But one way the brain solves this problem is it automatically filters our experiences, preserving memories of important information and allowing the rest to just fade away. The idea of using our time and our money to create something that lasts really holds a lot of appeal. We should say, I want to make those core memories for myself, my family, and my friends. In the end, we know good things do remain. The good things are God and his people, the kingdom of God. So instead of asking, what do I want? Perhaps the healthiest question we need to ask is, will this last? By asking that, we tend to open ourselves up to the best decisions about our time, our money, and our resources. Healthy choices that bring lasting rewards, not just for ourselves, but also for the ones we love. Hey, thanks for joining us today on the Healthy Living Podcast. This is where we talk about living healthy spiritually, physically, emotionally, mentally, and financially. God bless you. You are unique, a God-designed creation. Why not have healthcare made uniquely for you? Healthcare that gives you more than just help with your medical needs. That's there to support you through every stage of your life. From making your first decision for your health, the birth of your newborn baby, and that hard diagnosis, all the way through your retirement years. Medi-Share is healthcare made with you in mind. Medi-Share is healthcare made for you.